Going live on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Can't wait to commune with her. Can't wait to get up with her. It's the Alabama Church Girl. So what's the topic for this week?
Oh man, you're kidding me. The church folks have issues again? Well, you know I love you, but we gotta get it right. I'm PR for the preacher, publicist for the people. All right, Lord, you gotta be with me on this. I feel like Jeremiah. I know the people don't want to hear it, but it's like fire in my bones and I gotta let it out. Lord, when I open up my mouth, you speak for me. Let me have no fear of their faces. All right, y'all. Here we go.
Well, it's the Alabama Church Girl.
Beep, beep, toot, toot.
There we are. Beep, beep, toot, toot. All right, good people. Tonight we're discussing God, science, and soil. It's going to be a great discussion on this evening. Go ahead and tell your family and your friends to come on in. Tell all the good saints down at the church house to come on in on this evening. Happy March to you. We are entering into our new season. It's a full moon on this evening. I hope you've made your manifestations known unto God. We also are approaching the spring weather, and that's why we're having this discussion on this evening. God, science, and soil. What are we doing with God, science, and soil on this evening? It's time to plant those good seeds on this evening. Get those seeds down in the ground so that we can see all of the richness and the manifestations blossom in the spring of this year. All right, so we're moving into a new season. I think I've given you some time to get your family and your friends on in on this evening. Like I said, we're discussing God, science, and soil. I'm the Alabama Church Girl, beep, beep, toot, toot. Welcome, welcome, welcome on in. First, giving honor to God, who is the head of my life. To all the leaders, saints, and friends, you are very much so welcome on into this discussion on this evening. My intention on this evening is to challenge the mindset, the oppressed mentality, and the misguided behaviors of the Black church. I am not a physician. I am not a nutritionist. I have an ever evolving knowledge of and understanding of what is righteous and what is true. So, as I am growing in knowledge, I'm sharing it with you. I do not profess to be an expert. I don't. I'm very much so passionate about these discussions. So, and I appreciate you for coming in over here with the Alabama Church Girl to have these discussions with me. Each and every week that we come with a new topic, please understand it's coming directly from the heart. So, if there are any inaccuracies, hey, I appreciate you dropping down in the comments, letting me know. Hey, have you checked this source out? Did you look at this a different way? I'm okay with that. I am. Like I said, I understand. I'm not an expert, but I am very passionate about the church. The black church, to be specific. Not that I don't care about any others, but hey, this is my experience, so that's my focus. I kind of stay out of other folks' business. Okay. All right. So let's discuss on this evening God, science, and soil. It is Women's History Month, so happy Women's History Month to you. Back in January, we discussed Black culture, and some of the attributes of Black culture included um, our food. And well, some of the aspects of culture, period, includes your language, um, your surroundings, your food, your religious practices. Those all tie into what develops culture amongst a group of people. So tonight, when in our discussion on God, science, and soil, the discussion is centered around food. All right. Well, like I said, we're coming into our spring season, and this evening I want to have the discussion mm, around food. How can the church help develop a better community of food? Um, those of you know that I'm the Alabama church girl. I live right here in Montgomery, Alabama, and I'm an observer of people. So, not that I'm weird or anything, but I do. I watch patterns, I watch people. I'm constantly aware of my surroundings and viewing it from a lens. I come from a very sheltered upbringing. I am very much so a church girl, but when I say sheltered, I didn't participate a lot of social activities. So that left me in a seat outside of the social circles in a lot of ways. But being outside of the social circles, I get to observe how the patterns of people around me in those social circles, and that's a good perspective for me to have, especially with me being a communicator. So in that, I know that Alabama, I know it, I've observed it, and those of you that live in Alabama with me, you know it, and you probably observed it too. But science and data has also proven that we have some issues when it comes to health and wellness in our black social circles, our black community. We know that Alabama has almost 2 million people, 2 million residents living in the state of Alabama. Over 500,000 of those are children who live in food deserts here in Alabama. What are you getting to, Alabama church girl? Well, I'm getting to how the church is going to participate in creating nutritious environments and nutritious communities within the Black community. I do believe that the Black church is the bedrock of culture and community. Um, a lot of movement within the Black community has come through the Black church. We discussed on last month how civil rights movement in the Black History Month. We discussed how much history that we've moved forward. Black society in the United States has come through a mission through the church. So I'd like to see the church get on a mission. Black church get on a mission to help our issues in community when it comes to health and well-being. Um, I know that this is not going to apply to uh, a lot of churches in urban areas, or there's more city and cement than there is grass and ground. But Alabama has a lot of rural areas. Most churches in Alabama, I would say at least 70% of churches in Alabama do have a lot of grass and ground to cover. But we have great climate in Alabama that could support the church itself becoming the community, not just food bank, because I know that there's plenty of churches that participate in becoming a food bank for the community, but also becoming the community garden. It is important for us to understand that God has given us so many gifts on how to take care of ourselves, how to feed ourselves, clothe ourselves, but we've gotten away from actually doing those things by allowing the comforts of the luxuries of living in the United States to comfort us in ways that are really not supporting the best of our health. Like I said, over 2 million people, almost 2 million people in Alabama, um, over 500,000 children are living in food deserts. That's not okay. It's not okay. Think about how many people are in your community. How many of those children are living in your community? When we know that there's a food desert, basically means that there is a lack of sufficient nutrition in that on that particular block, in that particular community, to satisfy the needs of the people in that community. You see that there neighborhoods where there is no supermarket. You'll probably see a McDonald's. You'll probably see a gas station or convenience store. You may see even a liquor store, but not see a grocery store in that area where fresh fruit is grown or fresh fruit is sold. You may not see any markets that come to the area because there are some places there's no actual grocery store, but they may have farmers market open on certain weekends or certain days within the month where farmers will collectively come and sell their products at this particular farmers market. But there are some neighborhoods that never happens in their neighborhood. No one's ever coming from the farm with fresh food, fresh collard greens, fresh watermelon, fresh corn. No one's ever coming to those communities. And that's an issue because we need the way God has set this world up. He's just so wonderful of a creator that he knew that everything that we needed to survive in this world, he planted it in the soil. He put it in the atmosphere. That's why I love science. I started out, I've shared a whole lot with you guys, and honestly, I'm talking really fast right now because there's a lot of ground to cover. But I started out my college career or education in science. I know I've shared with you guys that I went to Tuskegee on in honors biochem program, and I love science. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. And a lot of times we know that religion, a lot of religious people have an aversion to science. But to be honest with you, it all ties together. It actually does. It actually does. Everything, even down to the astrology, it all ties together if you really believe in the true and living God. And not just that religious stuff in the Sunday school stories that you've been taught, but if you really believe in the one true and living God and the power of that one true and living God, then you'll see how science ties into him being that ultimate creator. But also knowing that if you believe the story of man being created from the soil, you'll understand, or it will make sense and it will resonate with you of why we need to eat from the soil. Because we are of that creation. So what am I saying? Where are we going with this? God, science, and soil. I'm tying this all together. Let's thread that needle all the way through. That in order for us to really speak to the whole man, and when I say the whole man, we are not just a body. We're not. We are mind, body, spirit, and soul. So our mind, of course, is that brain. Our body, of course, is the cosmetics, the outer covering of all the organs, all the bones, all the tissue, all the marrow, all of that. That's the body. But within that body, there is a spirit and there is a soul. The spirit is that living, breathing place that God gives us, God downloads in us. That soul is the bed where the spirit rests. With all that being said, where are we going with this? That the science teaches us that our mind, we have one mind, of course, our brain. Our brain basically sends out neurotransmitters to tell the rest of our body what to do. where to go. If it thinks one thing, if you want to wave your hand, the brain is going to send the signal out to this limb to wave. If the brain also tells my eyelids to blink, it tells my lungs to breathe. The brain is sending all these signals for in order for my body to function. But science also teaches us that our second brain is our gut. We have heard the saying that a way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Well, that's funny, and it sounds like, a little cute cliche, but science kind of backs it up, because if our gut is unhealthy, it makes our brain become unhealthy as well. So it's important, church, for the church to understand, for the leadership in the church, those, and specifically I'm talking about Black church, that if we are going to be the bedrock of a community and culture, it's important for us to understand that it's not okay for the people of the community to be malnourished in both the first brain and the second brain. That gut needs to be fed. We learned in John, the 6th chapter, that Jesus, before he preached to the people, he fed the people. He sat on, he went up to the mountain with his disciples. It was Passover time, and he realized that the people were following him. They were coming. They needed a word from him. They had seen all these miracles that he was doing, and they wanted a part of that. But he also understood that before I can give them a word that feeds their spirit, that's sitting in their soul, that's resting in their soul, I got to put something on their gut. Because in their gut, that second brain, they can't receive they can't receive what I want to download in their spirit, because that spirit is going to come through the mind first. If that's first mind, if I can't get anything through the first mind, that second mind, the second mind is not going, excuse me, if I can't get anything through that second mind, which is the gut, that first mind is not going to receive it. If that first mind is not receiving it, then the body is not receiving it. And then what good is it if I'm not feeding that gut, feeding their first need? That first need is that gut has to be healthy. So, in seeing all that, I know I'm going. But in saying all that, Alabama specifically, because I'm an Alabama church girl, we have an obesity issue. It's in the state of Alabama, and it stems from the fact that we have so many food deserts in the state of Alabama. If you go to the Alabama CDC, or if you can Google the food deserts in the state of Alabama, look at that map. It appears to be the majority of the state of Alabama map is red, lit up red. There are food deserts all over the place, and you would think, like, Alabama is known for agriculture. How could there be a food desert? But there is. There is. I haven't checked out where the farmland is, but I do know when I went to look for how many food deserts there are, it's almost the entire state. And it's a pandemic that we don't need to happen, that we can really overcome just by becoming the need and feeding the need of the people. And when I say we, I'm talking about the church. Like I said, my intention is to see the behaviors of the church change, because if we change, being the heart and the bedrock of Black culture and community, then it's going to change the community. And we all know that when Black community changes, everything around us changes along with us. Okay. When we get on a move and a mission, everybody else has got to either get on the mission, get on board with us, or get out the way of us, because ain't no stopping us. Okay. And that's, if God be for us, who can be against us? Amen. But I went to research, like I'm observing, back to me being this people watcher. I'm observing around me how many people just in my family, just in my friend circle, just amongst my colleagues, how many of us are overweight, got a few little extra cushion for the pushing that we could we could stand to lose. Uh, the when I researched and did my due diligence, the CDC says that Alabama has the highest rate of diabetes in adults. I know personally my life has been affected by it. I lost my mother to diabetes. So these are things that I want to see and us avoid. Beep beep toot toot. Hey friend, I see you in the chat. Um, but it also says my research also says that Alabama has the highest obesity rate in children. Like we have the most overweight children in the state of Alabama. That's sad. And I know that there's plenty of them in our community, but we can do something about that, church. We can do something about that, church. And like I said, not only does the fact of there being food deserts play into these stats of our children being obese, but it also is the fact that we have become relaxed and seeking out and doing the things that we can to manage our health better. We don't have to live on a farm in order to grow our own food. You don't. If you got a little bit of land, a little bit of space, you don't even have to have land. You can live in an apartment and grow your own food. Did you not know that? There's so many resources, even on social media. The people are showing us how we can grow our own food. And it's coming to a place, we're coming to a place in our society where it's going to be imperative for us to grow food and feed that gut healthy food. Shandia says we tend to have terrible eating habits. Right. But those eating habits centers around that comfortability in our lifestyle. We get comfortable, with filling our day and packing our day with so many tasks and chores that it's just more convenient for us to just stop by and pick up, a 4 for 4 for the kids, or stop by and pick up a pizza, call in, and let DoorDash dash us in some chicken salad. That becomes easy. Not only is it expensive to our pocket, but it's expensive to our health. In the long run, it would be better for us to eat from the soil. God, science, and soil. The science of how God made us and who he made us to be is the hidden secrets are in the soil. So we need to learn, church, how to develop a community garden just for our people. If one church, just think about it. And I'm not saying that there are none, because I've participated in a church that created a garden for the community. But there could be a whole lot more that could help these stats go in the reverse direction. The Alabama CDC says that Black women are disproportionately obese. In the state of Alabama, an estimated 80% of women are overweight or obese. And how many of us are sitting in amongst the pews, overweight and obese? I'll go be the first. I know I can stand to lose some weight. That's why I'm in my workout gear now. Been at the gym working it out. I know I can stand to lose some weight. Shandia says, I agree. We should be eating more from the soil. But this is something else. There's another issue that we have to make sure that we know is knocking at the door right now. If you look and you listen and you pay attention, there are reports of fake food, artificial food. You think you might be buying what appears to be healthy food out of the grocery store. You go and get your protein from the butcher. You go over and get you a good nice piece of I don't eat beef or pork, y'all, so I'm sorry. Go get you a nice piece of fish. Go get you some good old pork chops or big steak from the produce section. Excuse me, from the protein section. You go over to the produce section and you get you some of those nice broccoli and zucchini and squash, and you think it's all good, but a lot of the food in the grocery stores today are heavily GMO, genetically modified, to where there are, and I'm being careful with this because we know how censoring goes in the US of A. That the food is genetically modified, which means that there has been something added to or taken away from that food product that makes it less than natural and what our body could actually flush out. And when there's something added or taken away that makes it less than natural, then our bodies get something that's not natural within it. And it's like, wait a minute, the brain said, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't identify with this because it didn't come from the soil. Even when it comes to meat products, a piece of steak, that cow ate from the soil. That cow was eating grass all day, getting healthy. Even when it comes to fish product, fish, the ecosystem, it feeds itself. Even that of seafood, it ate from the algae. It eats other fish. It eats what God created. When it comes to pigs, we know they eat a lot more. That's why the pig ain't the healthiest thing to eat. But that pig is eating from the soil as well. But when something else has been added or taken away from it, then the brain does not process, the gut does not process. We feel bloated. We feel like it puts a lot of weight on us. Our body cannot release it and eliminate it because it's not natural. This is not natural. That first mind and the second mind doesn't know what to do with it. So what else happens? It becomes a foreign agent in the body. Do you know that the CDC says breast cancer is the second leading cause of death amongst women in the United States? You know, those foreign agents, those free radicals in your body, they just, because the body don't know what else to do with it. You don't, all waste product, God has created a science within our body that knows how to eliminate the waste, the excess, and keep all the good things and do what it's supposed to do and make it work and do what it needs to do. But when it's something genetically modified, anytime you see GMO, and sometimes it's not there, but you got to know how to identify that this is not natural. Tell you some ways to identify that food product is not natural. I did my own personal study this past fall. I bought a bag of oranges. I know it was fall because it was before Thanksgiving. Bought a bag of oranges, and you know, if you buy any type of fruit product, a couple of things, signs and symbols. I'm a country girl, so I've witnessed, and I know, and most people should know, that anything that came from the earth likes to go back to its natural state. It likes to go back to the earth. So if you buy fruit or vegetables, they typically spoil after a week or so. Fruit specifically, it's going to begin to rot from its inside out to where you'll have fruit flies flying around when it's going bad, right? So I bought this bag of oranges, and you know, I like to sit the fruit up on the counter and look all pretty and delicate and stuff. And as the day goes by, you got some fruit up there to grab and go. Well, we were busy, like in and out of the house more than in the house. So we hadn't touched the oranges. But I noticed after like a week or so, ain't no fruit flies in here. So And the oranges were still sitting pretty. Like, hey girl, how you doing? So I'm looking at these oranges like, girl, it's something fake about you. So I let those oranges sit there to see how long they would sit without rotting. Y'all, it was after January, after the new year, that I threw those oranges out. That's almost 3 months those oranges sat on my countertop. They didn't rot, they didn't smell, they didn't have any fruit flies or anything. Only thing that changed about the orange was it got super hard. That ain't natural. If you're a country girl like me, you know that orange is supposed to get so soft and moldy. The juices are supposed to be running out of it. That ain't natural. So you absolutely know that those oranges went out, and I hadn't bought one since. I hadn't bought another bag since, because I understand that, hey, this is not another identifier. Um and I'm not trying to scare you away from eating altogether. I'm giving you these examples to help you identify what's good, what's bad, and know what you're putting in your body. I'm saying all this to prove a point that as a church, we have to be conscious and aware of what's happening, because anything that affects one person is going to affect the whole body. If we preach this all the time, that we are a family, that we are the body of Christ. Well, anything that happens to one member on your body, let your pinky get broken, it's gonna affect your whole body. It's gonna affect that whole hand. That one pinky, which you think is the least of your members, let it break, and you won't be able to grab. You won't be able to. There's things that it's gonna limit you. And that's what we want to prevent in the Black church. We want to be unstoppable. We want to be limitless. We want God to be able to do all the miracles through us. But if we're not preparing ourselves for that, then how can he? I know that we are on the precipice of another civil situation. I've shared, if you hadn't seen, go back and watch some of our previous videos where we've talked about, hey, we got to be conscious and aware. These things are happening around us, and we can't be so spiritually minded that we are no earthly good with blinders on. We cannot. We have to be aware of what's happening around us and prepare ourselves for it. Okay? I'm concerned. I'm concerned, and that's why we have these conversations, taboo topics with Alabama Church Girl, out of concern for how the Black church can help our Black community be all that it can be. Amen. So back to the point at hand. Another way that you can tell food is this. It may not be the best, or it may be modified in some way. I was just talking to my sister about this earlier today. I told you I don't eat beef. I don't eat pork. I hadn't eaten those products in, I think it's almost 7 years now. April will be 7 years. But I had stopped eating chicken at one point. But y'all, I love chicken. I do. I'm a country girl. But recently, the reason I stopped maybe about 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I was in Mississippi at a school, and every meal they had chicken. And this is a big school now. It's thousands of people coming through this particular cafe every single day, and every single meal 3 times a day they had chicken. And I'm like, there is no way they are mass producing this chicken. This is around the same time. Y'all can help me with the timeline, but I know it was around the same time that Popeyes had released their new chicken sandwich that everybody was going crazy over, and the lines would be wrapped around the building, and then you saw people were shooting at Popeyes over the chicken sandwich. And I'm like, it's something wrong with this chicken, because people don't shoot each other over no chicken sandwich at no Popeyes. This is not like they went to Ruth Chris. What in the whole world is going on with this chicken? So I was just like, whatever it is, I don't want no parts of it, because I don't want to be out here shooting anybody over no chicken. So I like chicken, but I don't like it that much. So I just gave up chicken, cold turkey. Came home, wasn't eating any chicken. Then right. How would that look on my obituary? How did she die? Over a chicken sandwich at Popeyes? Girl, no. No. But I just decided, okay, I will stop. Then I was away about 2 years ago, at on a mission. I was on a mission about 2 years ago, and the place that we were was a food desert. And there really was no options for me because, like I said, I usually eat fish or seafood. And there really weren't any protein options for me other than chicken. So I started back eating chicken and bread too, because I had pretty much given up bread. But I started back eating chicken. So recently I have had I like chicken. I like a good piece of lemon pepper wing. I do. I like how my mama taught me to fry chicken and have me a drumstick fried. I like that. I do. I enjoy it. I even love baked chicken. But recently I noticed there is a difference in how chicken tastes. Not only how it tastes, because typically you bite into chicken, it's gonna break down. Um, the texture of it is not too soft, but there's a tenderness to the texture of the chicken. Well, recently I noticed that there's more toughness to the chicken. Uh-oh. Well, I'm gonna be careful with this conversation. But I'm gonna tell you, I don't really eat a lot of it, because then I notice like the pieces at the grocery store are so huge. And the packets, when you pick up a packet of chicken, it feels so heavy. Now, I ain't crazy. Like I said, I'm a country girl. My great grandma lived on a farm. So I recall that chickens were so light that she could wring the chicken's neck in the kitchen. Like, this chicken ain't supposed to be heavy. We're not supposed to have 10 and 15-pound chickens. No, something is wrong with that. We're getting over into turkey territory. But if you notice in the grocery store, a lot of that chicken is like really huge and heavy, and that's not natural. I know it's not natural. Anytime I see a mass production, y'all can keep it. I don't want it. Anytime I see it's super heavy like that, and then the bag is swollen up with all these extra liquid in it, I don't want it. And I'm gonna tell you what else really made me start paying attention. I don't fry food at home. I didn't say I don't eat fried food, but I don't fry food at home because I know I enjoy it. And if I start doing it at home, I will overdo it and eat too much fried food. So I don't fry food at home. Almost everything is either going to go in the oven, broil it on top of the oven, or going on the grill outside. So when I cook chicken, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to soak it in some distilled vinegar and water. And that breaks down the antibodies in the chicken. Okay, if you do that, pay attention. Some of those pieces, you will see a huge blue vein come up in that chicken. That ain't supposed to happen, because when you're breaking down the antibodies, vinegar also breaks down blood cells. Excuse me. So all of that's supposed to be draining out. It's not supposed to have that huge blue vein like that, which tells me something has been injected in this chicken. But also, if you put that chicken On the grill, I have done it several times to where I'm very clear it's something wrong. Put the chicken on the grill and some of those pieces turn jet black, and it ain't because it's burnt. The piece itself will just turn jet black as if something else has been injected into this chicken. I don't want it. I don't want it. And then I get scared to even go to some of the restaurants to have it because, I don't know what piece they're giving me. I just don't want it. I want to be healthy. And I'm sharing this conversation with our church community because I want us to see that we can help each other be healthy. Churches, let's utilize the separation of church and state to the best benefit of the Black community. Let's utilize, excuse me, I got tongue twisted. Let's utilize this land that the church has acquired to the best benefit of the Black community. We know that the statistics show that 80% of the women that in the state of Alabama are obese or overweight. If you come into any congregation, this is bad. It's so bad to where the CDC is they are doing a study to see how Black women in particular, religious practices affect their weight gain or their inability to lose weight. So it's bad, church. If the CDC is researching why is it that these deeply religious women are having such a hard time with their weight? Think about it. We like to sit and preach and sit there in the pews. We did no physical activity sitting there in the pews, then go sit and eat. And we have a culture and a habit of glorifying having the itis, but that's not healthy for us. We need to change our practices. We really do. We really do. That goes with the way we communicate about food, the way we are developing food or growing food, the way that we purchase food. We really need to change our practices and change the culture. It starts with the intention and taking action. So, church, true leadership, like I said, in John the 6th chapter, Jesus showed us the true leadership. That true righteous shepherd is not just concerned about preaching a message to people. That true righteous message understands the God, the science, and the soil of that person. If we're going by this book of morals we call the Bible, if we really believe that Bible, then we should be believing that we came from the soil, right? That in the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth, he made man from the dirt of the soil. If we really believe that, then we know that the science of who this person is not going to be able to ingest and digest the God that you're trying to put between their ears. If you have not fed that gut, if their gut is sick and unhealthy, they're not going to receive the God that you said you're speaking of and preaching of in a healthy fashion. So it's to our best interest to make sure that the gut of our people in our community is healthy. It's to our best. It will be in our best interest to make sure, hey, it doesn't take but a few seeds. It doesn't take but a few seeds to get started. We can utilize this property that we have right here at this local community church to help feed our people. Wouldn't it be a great thing that instead of after church, everybody going getting some macaroni and cheese with a little Jiffy cornbread and some what is the going green? Oh, green beans and 2 pieces of fried chicken on our plate with a side of cake and some sweet tea. Wouldn't it be a great thing if the church was able to open up the fellowship hall and people go grocery shopping for some fresh fruit, go grocery shopping for some fresh vegetables that they can go and cook at home, have a healthy meal to feed that gut, feed the true need of the people, that our gut be healthy, because if our gut be healthy, our gut is healthy, then our mind, our first brain can receive a word. I mean, and it's so prevalent in the black church. Shandia says that that's the church menu to a T. It's so prevalent in the black church. That we can go. I'm sitting here in Montgomery, Alabama, but I bet you if I go and talk to a sister or brother in Chicago, Illinois, and ask them what do they have in the fellowship hall after church, they probably come up with one of them same menus. Or if I go out to California, my son's family out in California, I know for sure they're having that same menu in the fellowship hall after church in California. But we can do better. And that's why we're having these taboo topics of the church with the Alabama church girl, because the desire is for us to do better. Church, we have if you walk in just about any church, even if it's a storefront church, you're going to see some plant somewhere. Typically they're artificial, but did you know that if we change those pots out, and change those plants out, you actually can grow food inside that church, even if you don't have the land? Because some people say, well, we're in the storefront, we only have a parking lot outside, I don't have any land to grow food. But you can put it in a pot right inside the church, sitting just like you got that fake greenery at the doorway. You can sit this pot of tomatoes at the doorway. You can, it's or this fruit, because it's necessary. It's necessary because those fibers that come from those fruits, the fibers that you're getting from the vegetable, the nutrients that you're getting from green leafy vegetables is going to help the mind do better. I don't like the fact that statistics are showing are negative when it comes to the cognitive ability of our black children. I don't like the fact that statistics show a negative trend in our black children. I don't like that at all. And I don't believe it has anything to do with the fact that we are melanated. I think it's more so that the nutrition is not allowing us to function at the lack of nutrition, the deficiency in nutrition is not allowing us or permitting us to function at our highest level, at our highest and our peak performance. If we get our nutrition right, then it will jumpstart everything. We get back to our most healthy place. We get back to our God center because our nutrition is right. We're going to our doctor's appointments. We're doing what we need to do to make sure that we're healthy in our activity. But it starts in getting that nutrition right. I'll tell you, just about any trainer in the state, in the United States, will tell you you can work out all day long. But them abs are made in the kitchen. Those muscles are made in the kitchen. Why? Because they understand that it starts with the nutrition. But I'm not saying this for superficial matters. I'm not saying all this so that all of us can be foxy fine. Now that's going to be a side effect of us getting our nutrition right. But I'm mostly concerned with us making our gut healthy, because in that gut is similar to the soul. It's the seat. Everything that's sitting in that gut, if it's unhealthy, it's going to make the rest of the body unhealthy. Just like if your soul is dark and less than righteous, everything about your spirit is going to be dark and less than righteous. So we have to get that gut healthy in order to make sure that the rest of our body is healthy. We have to get that gut healthy to make sure that our mind is healthy. Our first mind is healthy. That second mind is very important to the overall health of the whole body. So, church, we're not just wanting to be that church. I want to play this. should have played it at the top of this recording, but I want to play for you a little piece of a sermon from TD Jakes, and he's speaking about why he does more than just function as a preacher. Why TD Jakes is also out here making movies, why he's out here meeting with politicians, why he's out here working in being a spokesman to corporations and entrepreneurs. Why is he doing that? What is the importance of going above and beyond?
You're a pastor. Why are you making movies? You're a pastor. Why are you building homes? You're a pastor. Why are you shutting down food deserts? You're a pastor. Why don't you just preach and go home? You had a season in your life, you can take it easy. Well, what you are saying to me is that somebody can come up to me and be naked and you want me to give them a sermon. Put that verse back up here again, because I want you to get this in your spirit. The reason the church is deemed irrelevant today is because for every community problem, all we got is a sermon. But what the community needs is to see change. They need to see jobs. They need to see opportunities. They need to see development. They need to have access to a blessing. And don't tell me that God doesn't care about human conditions when the Bible is clear. It said, if one of you says to them, go in peace, keep warm and well fed, but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is your faith? If you're going to make me shout about something that you won't help me enter into, if you keep telling me, I got a feeling everything going to be all right and it don't ever get better. When people say to me, you're...
And that's why we're having this conversation tonight. Because church, things can get better, but it starts with us being intentional about making sure that it's better. We cannot be out here just ready to preach our hot sermon and only focused on the next hot word, and not participate in making sure that the whole person, that the body, the soul, the mind, the spirit are all fed and nourished, that are all taken care of in God's greatest will for us. We can't be, because where's the church going to be? People are not going to be concerned about your message if their belly is speaking louder than you in that microphone. They're not. And you're going to be ineffective. If we don't know, I know that, a lot of people, there are people who love to debate about Jesus, but the Black church, the foundations of the Black church strongly believe in who Jesus is, was, and what he preached and taught. So if we are trying to be like him, we need to take from his demonstration that we have to feed the need of the people first. We have to. It starts with us. There's a greater call on us. We cannot sit back in comfortability and think that the government and all its assistance programs will feed the people. I'll just preach to them. No. It ain't gonna work. And I will say this. You can slap my hand later. Better to ask for forgiveness than permission. But I will say this, even going to your local food bank, feeding people food from the local food bank ain't the answer, because that stuff ain't nutritious. Canned food is not. If it's all you got, then it's all you got. But it ain't the best of what you can get, especially when God has given us science and soil that can help us eat the nutrients that make us rich and healthy. It's not okay to be comfortable knowing that the majority of your congregation is overweight and unhealthy. It's not okay to be comfortable knowing that you have preached more sermons than you have blessed newborn babies coming into this world. It's not okay to be comfortable knowing that you have stood over people's bodies preaching their funerals more than you have stood before a couple coming into the church in holy matrimony. It's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. We're too comfortable with allowing our communities to die and to be unwell, to be unhealthy. So, in saying all that, let's become the community garden. Starting with a little piece of land, a little patch of land that we have. We don't have to go all out. We don't have to go all out and become, the whole farm. We don't have to do that. But just a little patch of land around the perimeter of the church will feed a whole lot of people. Yeah, I know that we have a little bitty garden in the backyard, a little bitty garden in the backyard. But I know that when that garden harvests, it's enough food that I need to share. And I have swapped food with girlfriends before because it was too much for just my household to handle. So, and like I said, it's a little bitty garden. Just think about if you go around the perimeter of your church. Most churches are pretty good sizes, at least 4,000 to 6,000 square feet. So think about going around the perimeter of the church with some fruits and vegetables, putting up a peach tree in the yard of the church, putting up a plum tree or a plum bush. I don't know how the plums grow. I'm sorry. But having some type of fruit tree in on the grounds of the church. Just think about, I can remember my home church having a pecan tree and how much fun we had, how many lessons that we learned just from having that pecan tree in the yard of the church. I can remember my Sunday school teacher taking us out to the yard to pick up pecans. Now, she wanted us to pick up pecans because, if you go sell the pecans to some of the manufacturers, that she was going to make some money. But it was okay, though, because we got to eat some of them, too. But that was a side note. But she would utilize the growth of that tree in the teaching and the telling of the Sunday school lesson. And we could learn so much from growing the garden. I know that for me, like I said, we have a little bit, me and my husband have a little bit of garden out in the backyard, and I have taken over managing the garden. And he was saying something over the weekend about what to put in the garden, what not to do. I was like, look, now, now I'm not trying to get too formal on this because it's therapeutic for me to get out there and get my hands in the soil. It's therapeutic for me to see. I got so excited about, I have a bunch of collard greens coming up in the garden. It's therapeutic to see that I put this in the ground as a seed. I've nurtured it with nutrients. I do my compost and all of that. I'm out there every week turning the soil to make sure that, it's getting deep down into the ground. I'm out there, watering it and giving it all that it needs to be, all that it needs to have in order to come up to nourish me. I learned it's like meditation, going out there and just working the soil, because the science of that soil teaches me about the science of myself. If I nurture that ground with my compost, guess what? In turn, it's going to nurture me. Them collard greens going to be real good with some smoked turkey neck. Yes, ma'am. It's going to be some real good nurturing of me. Those onions that are going to season our soups and our food so well. Yes, ma'am. Those tomatoes with a little bit of salt and pepper on it. Yes, ma'am. It's going to nurture me. But like I said, I'm getting out there and nurturing it so that it can nurture me. Being out in the sun, soaking up and absorbing all that vitamin D. There's so much to learn from it. It's so much to gather from it. But the God and the science of the soil does so much to nurture me. And I'm saying, and I'm sharing all this to share with the church that we can nurture the community in the same way. Let's start with our kids, getting our babies out there, putting seed in the ground, teaching them how to grow, using God's good science, teaching them the lessons that growth of that plant. I mean, go to the scriptures and teach them how God says that one planteth, one watereth, but God reaps up the harvest, and how God is going to grow up that fruit of that food out of the soil. would love to see our churches get to a place where we will feed the people before we try to lead the people. With all that being said, this is our series for the month of March: God, Science, and Soil. So we'll be talking about this again on next week. There is so much to say. There's so many stats that show us that this really is the direction that we need to go. As I'm sharing this with you, I hope that you will go back and share it with your church community, your church family, and it's specifically your church leaders, that, hey, we can be a whole lot more as a church, be a whole lot more effective as a community as a congregation within the community. With all that being said, I'll see you guys on next Monday, same time, same place, right over here with the Alabama Church Girl at 7 p.m. Until then, love God, love your families. Mwah! Bye.